Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my another 10 minutes practice session. In this video, I would like to make some short, simple sentences by using active. So, dear, let's get started. I am active. I am not active. Am I active? Am I not active? You are active. You aren't active. Are you active? Aren't you active? They are active. They aren't active. Are they active? Aren't they active? We are active. We aren't active. Are we active? Aren't we active? He is active. He isn't active. Is he active? Isn't he active? She is active. She isn't active. Is she active? Isn't she active? My father is active. My father isn't active. Is my father active? Isn't my father active? My mother is active. My mother isn't active. Is my mother active? Isn't my mother active? My brother is active. My brother isn't active. Is my brother active? Isn't my brother active? My sister is active. My sister isn't active. Is my sister active? Isn't my sister active? My wife is active. My wife isn't active. Is my wife active? Isn't my wife active? My son is active. My son isn't active. Is my son active? Isn't my son active? My daughter is active. My daughter isn't active. Is my daughter active? Isn't my daughter active? My uncle is active. My uncle isn't active. Is my uncle active? Isn't my uncle active? Your father is active. Your father isn't active. Is your father active? Isn't your father active? Your mother is active. Your mother isn't active. Is your mother active? Isn't your sorry? Isn't your mother active? Your brother is active. Your brother isn't active. Is your brother active? Isn't your brother active? Your son is active. Your son isn't active. Is your son active? Isn't your son active? His father is active. His father isn't active. Is his father active? Isn't his father active? Her mother is active. Her mother isn't active. Sorry. Is her mother active? Isn't her mother active? Her sister is active. Her sister isn't active. Her Is her sister active? Isn't her sister active? Her husband is active. Her husband isn't active. Is her husband active? Isn't her husband active? Yeah, dear. Now I would like to make some question by using WH. So let's get started. Why are you active? Why aren't you active? When are you active? When aren't you active? Where are you active? Where aren't you active? How are you active? How aren't you active? With whom are you active? With whom aren't you active? For what are you active? For what aren't you active? Why are they active? Why aren't they active? When are they active? When aren't they active? Where are they active? Where aren't they active? How are they active? How aren't they active? How long are they active? How long aren't they active? With whom are they active? With whom aren't they active? For what are they active? For what aren't they active? Why is he active? Why isn't he active? When is he active? When isn't he active? Where is he active? Where isn't he active? How is he active? How isn't he active? With whom is he active? With whom isn't he active? For what is he active? For what isn't he active? How long is he active? How long isn't he active? Why is your father active? Why isn't your father active? When is your father active? When isn't your father active? How is your father active? How isn't your father active? How long is your father active? How long isn't your father active? For what is your father active? For what isn't your father active? Her, sorry, why her husband, why is her husband active? Why isn't her husband active? When is her husband active? When isn't her husband active? Where is her husband active? Where isn't her husband active? How is her husband active? How isn't her husband active? For what is her husband active? For what isn't her husband active? How long how long is her husband active? How long isn't her husband active? Why is his colleague active? Why isn't his colleague active? When is his colleague active? When isn't his colleague active? Where is his colleague active? Where isn't his colleague active? How is his colleague active? How isn't his colleague active? For what he sorry For what is his colleague active? For what isn't his colleague active? How long is his colleague active? How long isn't his colleague active? Okay, dear. Like this way, you can practice every day. Like this way, you can make short, simple sentences to practice your English, to improve your English, to boost your English, to boost your fluency, to improve your fluency. I know. Literally, I know. It is really, really so crazy effort. It is very simple practice to improve our fluency. But believe me, trust my speech. If you really want to be a fluent speaker like me, you have to, you should, or you need to practice like this way. You have to make short, simple sentences and speak again and again, again and again. And finally, you have to train your speak organ, your body, language, all everything you have to train. While you can make sure that your body language, your speak organ have trained, that time you can imagine that you can speak very smoothly, very confidently, and very easily. Dear friends, no more longer. Thanks for watching and may stay pleasure peacefully until I will come my next video, until I will come with my next practice video. Take care. Bye.